Hello everyone and welcome to my main tank guide for One Tamriel. Now, there are a lot of details to discuss as far as main tanking goes, so let's jump right into it. As far as my character goes, I am an Imperial Dragon Knight. Why Imperial? It does have the best passives for tanking, giving you the biggest resource pools. Resource pools are the most important because you get 12% max health, 10% max stamina, giving me the ability to put all of my points into max stamina, so I have 64 into max stamina. My resource pools look as follows. With Tri-Food on, of course, you want to have Tri-Food on as a main tank. I have 16.7k max magicka, 29.1k max health, 31.5k max stamina. My health is at 29k with Ebon buff. With Horn up, we're going to be at over 31k max stam. So you don't need any more than that. And you shouldn't have any less than 28k ever as a main tank in anything that you do. You can tank anything and everything in this game with 28k or more health. However, stamina resource pools are much more important. What really drives me crazy is when I see people running around and tanking trials with 60k plus health. It is absolutely ridiculous, absolutely unnecessary, and you're doing nothing for your group. So again, focus on dividing your stats evenly, have 28k or more health so you don't get one-shotted, and make sure that you have as much stamina as possible so you never have to let go of block. Again, we're using Tri-Stat Food. We are using the Atronach Mundus. Now, why Atro? The more Magicka regen you have, the more Igneous you can spam, the more stam recovery you get back while even holding block. So if I have Magicka recovery and I use up a lot of stam, that's great. Now I can hold block and spam Igneous and look at my stamina go up. If I use a pot, I have even more recovery. So you want to use the Atro, recover some magic for Igneous spam. I am a vampire. Again, magic recovery is very, very important. And the vampire passive supernatural recovery gives us 10% more magic recovery. Stamina recovery is not important at all because you don't recover any stamina while blocking anyway. Another nice passive that you get is Undeath, which is when you're below 50% health, you gain damage reduction up to 33%. So that's also a very nice passive to have. Yes, you do take more flame damage, but truthfully, it almost makes absolutely no difference because you are blocking and you take absolutely no damage anyway from flame abilities. So don't worry about it. Get Vamp. It's going to help you. Let's get into the gear. So our main set that we use on our body is Ebon. We have chest, legs, feet, and sword and board of Ebon. Both sword and boards are Ebon. Our second set we're using is Alkosh, which is on our jewelry, belt, and hands. And our third set is, of course, Bloodspawn, which is our two monster pieces. Now, Ebon is very, very nice. Again, as a main tank, you don't want to think, how can I be the most tanky in the world? You want to think, how can I provide my group with as much support as possible? And by wearing Ebon, you get max health, healing taken, but most importantly, increase your max health by 1118 for you and your group. So every single person around me, the 11 people that are in my group other than myself, are also getting over 1k max health, which makes them a lot more tanky and gives them a lot more survivability, especially while wearing the most DPS sets such as Scathing or Burning Spellweave or Mother's Sorrow. So you do want to keep this as a main tank 100% of the time. Ebon is a must-have. Right now I'm running Defending on my weapon and Infused on the shield. I do believe Infused is best in slot with a Triglyph because it gives you the most bang for your buck from your glyphs. And again, Infused because we don't need Defending, we don't need Reinforced, we don't need to be tanky. I've tanked everything in the game, the hardest content in the game, without capped resistances. You don't need capped resistances, trust me when I tell you. The best in slot for the weapon would be infused. Why infused? Because we have Crusher enchants on our weapons, which reduces target spell resistance and physical resistance by 1622 for 5 seconds. With infused, it would be over 2k. So if you can get infused on your main hand, definitely the way to go. If you can't, defending or even powered is fine as well. On all of our body pieces, we have infused on the bigs, which is head, chest, legs, and shield, all triglyph. And we're running sturdy on the small pieces, which is shoulders, waist, hands, and feet. All of my big infused pieces are enchanted with triglyphs. All of my small pieces are enchanted with max health glyphs. As you can see, we're running 5 heavy, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 2 medium, Alkash bracers and Alkash waist. And lastly, our jewelry is Alkash. I have 2 shield play enchants on the rings, and I have 1 magic recovery enchant on the necklace. Again, magic recovery is nice because you want to be able to spam Igneous as much as you can, while shield play is also very nice because it reduces the cost of blocking, and whenever you have to bash, it reduces the cost of bash as well. So this is really important. I found that 2 and 1 works best, but you can even put all magic recovery glyphs on everything and still do very, very well. You can literally spam Igneous for days. But again, as a main tank, I found that 2 shield play, 1 magic recovery works best for me. Now, if you don't have Alkash just yet, what I suggest you run is you run Ebon on the jewelry and the sword and board. You can farm that in Crypt of Hearts 1. You can even farm it on normal. And run either Tavas for more horn uptime. As you can see, the 5-piece, whenever you dodge an attack, you receive a blessing of Tava, generating 9 ultimate. The only bad part is that you do have to keep a loot or shuffle on your bar, which I don't really like. Or you can even run Hist Bark, which will give you a really nice amount of tankiness and survivability. But again, Alkash and Ebon gives you the most support, gives your group the most damage, 100%. If you have it, run it. Why is Alkash so important? 2-piece, absolutely worthless for the tank. 3-piece, absolutely worthless. 4-piece, absolutely worthless. But when we get to the 5-piece, when you activate a synergy, you send a shockwave from your position that deals 1806 physical damage. Again, not very important. But most importantly, for 10 seconds, it reduces the physical and spell resistance of your enemies that get hit in the radius by 30-10 for 10 seconds. So you have your Puncture up, you have Alkash up. That's a lot of debuffs. That's a lot of spell and physical penetration that everyone is getting. So with all the proper debuffs, you can also get the ads and the bosses to almost 0% physical and spell resistance, which is a lot of damage. So again, Alkash, definitely best in slot, definitely best support for DPS in your group. So that's it for the gear. Let's go over the skills. On our main bar, Pierce Armor is a must-have. This is our taunt, lasts 15 seconds. But most importantly, it gives Major Fracture, Major Breach, reducing the target's physical and spell resistance by 50-80 for 12 seconds. So you want to keep this up on all of the bosses and the ads every 12 seconds. Count to 12 in your head, puncture. When you're just starting out tanking, you will have to literally count, I suggest, to 11, then reapply taunt. So reapply taunt every 11 seconds. Count in your head, 11 seconds, reapply taunt. Count 11, reapply taunt. Now, eventually, when you get good at tanking and when you get used to it, you're not going to have to reapply because you're going to have an internal timer, which will kind of just make you do it on your own. But at the start, again, count to 11. Second skill, Echoing Vigor. Now, when I need to be more tanky for things like hard mode Hellrot or definitely hard mode VMAL, I swap this out for Hardened Armor, which will give me 50-80 spell and physical resistance. With Hardened Armor, this is my most tanky state, I have 30.2k spell resistance and 29.5k physical resistance. Doing anything in this game, you don't need more. You don't need more. You don't need to cap it. Trust me. I've clearly done every single hardest content in the game with this tank without max resistances, so you don't need it. And truth be told, you only need it on the last boss of Vmol hard mode and the last boss of Hellra hard mode. For all the other content, I use Vigor, and not for self heals, but more for group heals. This is like having another healing spring on the group. I'm being a third healer for the group if I'm able to spam Igneous this way. So for shield phase on Vmol first boss, I spam Igneous and Vigor. Any downtime that I have, I spam Igneous and Vigor. And of course, it is a really nice self heal. So use Vigor as much as you can. When you do need a little bit more tankiness, you find yourself dying, use Igneous. Use Hardened Armor. Igneous is a must-have. Not only does it give you a shield, but it also gives you major mending, increases healing done by 25%. Vigor is stronger that way. And through the passives, whenever using Igneous Shield, you get Helping Hands. Activating Earthen Heart ability restores 5% stamina. So as I showed again, you can use up your stamina while holding block, and then while still maintaining block, as you can see on my screen, I can spam Igneous and recover 5% max stam every single time. And since our stam pool is pretty big, it's at 32k, 5% is a lot of stamina to recover. Next is Absorb Magicka. Now, the actual skill, whenever you use it, it gives you a shield, and any incoming projectile is going to be absorbed and is actually going to heal you, which is nice. So, you see that shield on me. The thing that I use this the most for is when Rakat does barrage, I spam this. I heal myself, keeps me alive, takes a little bit of pressure off the healers, and due to all of our reduction cost, we can spam this for a long time. Once you run out low, we just start spamming Igneous and get all of our stam back. Especially when I use a pot, literally took us 2 seconds to recover all that stam that we just wasted. But the main reason why we use this on our bar is not for the heal, not for the shield, but well slotted, the amount of damage you can block is increased by 8%, and the cost of blocking is reduced by 8%. So this really, really helps us with our resource management a lot. Next is Heroic Slash. Now, we want to keep this up 100% of the time, especially on boss fights. It doesn't do a lot of damage. We don't care about the snare that it provides, but the two most important things are on the bottom. It inflicts the enemy with minor maim, reducing their damage for 12 seconds by 15%. And it gives you minor heroism, granting you one ultimate every 1.5 seconds for 9 seconds. So over the 9-second duration, you're getting 3 more ultimate, which doesn't seem like a lot, but in a long course of the fight, and if you can keep it up every 9 seconds, it is a lot. But again, minor maim is super important. Keeping it up on bosses and ads will save people's lives. So keep that up as much as you can, every 9 seconds. Aggressive Horn, this is a must-have. Gives everyone 10% more stam, magicka, and health for 30 seconds. But most importantly, it increases your critical damage by 30% for 9.5 seconds. That provides 30% more crit strike damage for the whole group for almost 10 seconds. So when you use Horn and everybody drops a meteor, for example, that damage is increased by 30% when it crits. So it is a huge DPS increase. This is a must-have ultimate, and you're rotating in between all the healers and tanks. You're gonna have 4 horns. You're gonna have 100% uptime on the max resource 10%, and you're gonna have a high uptime on the major force. So huge DPS increase. Why do we from bar it? We want to keep it up 100% of the time, and we never want to bar swap. Because when we bar swap, we drop block, you get one-shotted, everything goes to poo-poo. On our back bar, it's very situational. We change out a lot of skills. Inner Rage is a must-have, however. You have to have a range taunt on your bar. This is an absolute must-have. If something gets away from you, or if something is far away from you, you have to be able to range taunt it. I use it as magicka in emergency situations where I don't have stam and need to use magicka to taunt. Don't run into those situations ever, but just in case. Efficient Purge is nice for things like Dreadstalkers and VMAL. Now, yes, healers can run it, but if I can run it, that gives healers more time to support the group and focus on healing. So again, helping the group survivability. Choking Talons, again, very situational. Use this whenever you need it, like when there are cats around. Same with Talons and Chains. Now, of course, don't pay attention to the unmorphed one. You want Unrelenting Grip, which returns magicka if something is not chained to you. So, again, these two are very situational. Energy Orb I do keep on my bar. Now, what this does is when you throw this out, not only does it give your allies healing when they pop this energy, it gives you healing, but it also recovers their magicka. Now, there have been rumors that it doesn't work. It does work. It recovers a ton of magicka. This is when I play DPS, especially on a Sork and a Templar, this is my sustain. I ask for orbs all the time. That's how I'm able to keep up high damage. So, whenever you're free, you can either spam Vigor on the group, or you can spam orbs and help with the group sustain. But always have your hands busy doing something. Lastly, Replenishing Barrier. Now, we don't ever use this skill. The shield literally lasts 0.5 seconds, then it's gone if there's any type of damage. So it's an absolute waste of a skill if you do use it, a waste of an ultimate. The only reason why we have this on our bar is for the support passive Magicka Aid. Increases Magicka recovery by 10% for each support ability slotted. So this gives me 10% more Magicka recovery. So does Efficient Purge, having that on my bar. And I can literally spam Talons with a pot up, or hit more than one Purge. And look how quickly my Magicka goes right back up. Or I can throw more orbs. So magic recovery on the back bar especially is very, very important. That's it for the skills. Let's go over the CP. We have 71 Warlord, 1 Magician, 1 Bashing Focus. Warlord, we use Puncture, we use Heroic Slash, we use Absorb Magic, so we want to reduce the cost of that. We have 35 into Magic Recovery. Again, this helps us recover stamina by spamming Igneous Shield. And lastly, we have Shadow Ward. This is very, very important. Reduce the cost of blocking, keeping your stamina up 100% of the time. And 1 point into something just for the funds. 100 into Blessed. Again, you're like a third healer of the group. So your Vigor does a lot of healing, especially when you can double spam it. And 87 in Precise Strike. So when your crits heal, they do heal for a lot more. The red tree is very situational, but a safe bet would be to do an even 50-50 split between Elemental, Defender, and Hardy, while having 46 points into Heavy Armor Focus. Now, as a main tank, you want 46 Heavy Armor Focus, 10 Quick Recovery, and again, these two are very situational. So for hard mode VMAL, this is how I had mine set up. For hard mode Hellra, you're definitely going to want 100 or 90 at least into Hardy. But again, it's situational. At some points you want to do a 50-50 and maybe 18 points into Thick Skinned. But again, it's up to you. It's very situational. So that's pretty much it for the build, guys. Just to go over some of the other skills that can be useful on main tank. Again, these 3 skills right here are very, very swappable. I always keep Inner Fire on my bar. I always keep Energy Orbs on my bar. But these 3 are situational. Some things that you can swap them out for is 1, Treating Maneuvers. When you're going for speed runs, this is a nice skill to have. Another thing that you can do is put on Mystic Guard here, and instead of Absorb Magicka for Trash Pulse, so none of your healers or some of your squishier DPS don't die. You can put on Caltrops, which gives you a type of an AoE aggro. You can put on Blood Altar. Now, Blood Altar is a really underrated skill because it gives you minor lifesteal, which is for everyone that does damage while standing in Blood Altar, heals themselves for 2% of the damage done. So if you're damage dealers are doing a lot of damage. For example, 50k damage per second. 2% of 50k is 1,000 every single second. So you're getting 1k healing ticks every 1 second, which is very, very nice. So if you can, in boss fights, do keep it up. We usually have our main tank run it. Circular Protection is also a nice skill. It gives minor endurance and reduces damage taken by 8% for whoever stands in it. So for last boss AA, especially during execute phase, is a really nice skill to use. Evasion, if you want to be more tanky, is a nice skill to use as well. If you need more self heals, I recommend getting Coagulating Blood, but again, most of the time you're never going to need that. So those are some of the skills that I would swap out when you don't need one of these 3 skills. So just to reiterate, a lot of the mistakes that tanks use is the mentality of being absolutely the tankiest son of a gun in the world. You don't need to be tanky to tank in One Tamriel. You simply need good group support and focus on how can I improve healing, how can I improve survivability, how can I improve damage of my group. If you can get that mentality, then you're going to really be helping the group out a lot more than just being a tanky bastard. And you're going to see your scores and your success definitely go up. So that's it for the build. Again, I hope this helped you out, gave you a little bit of an insight to tanking. Again, if it did help you out and you enjoyed the build video, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button. And then if you haven't checked out my stream yet, you can check me out on twitch.com/RNClive. I do stream almost every single night from 8 to 11 p.m. Eastern time, sometimes more. So when you do get a chance, check that out as well. That's it. Hope you enjoyed it, and hopefully we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.